It's the connection with our body, and our body keeps score, and the language of our bodies are emotions.
The trauma that happened to you and the drugs you were taking, you were doing all of that based on a feeling. And meditation allows you to let that feeling go because that feeling's not true. It doesn't have to be who you are right now or today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to all our wonderful viewers. I'm Siobhan, and I am thrilled to be your host for this episode of Real Talk Show, brought to you by our Feel Good, Share Good Facebook community. Tonight is really interesting. So we're just going to dive right into another groundbreaking exploration of holistic health and wellness. We're going to be transmuting emotional blockages with our guest, Khreystine Musni. And as you know, if you've been on the before, it's all about shattering old boundaries, exploring innovative new ways to nurture ourselves, our loved ones, and our communities.
It started when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, which is called Graves' disease or hyperthyroidism. So back then, my energetic state is just sporadic. It's everywhere. My mind is always agitated. I'm always anxious. My body is dysregulated. So my nervous system is dysregulated. Basically, I am disconnected with my body and I am not fully in tune or tapped into my emotions. And back then, if I would recall, because I was in nursing school for 4 years, my unconscious coping mechanism is through distracting myself by over exhausting myself with multiple activities that I thought it was the way for me to channel what I was going through. And also growing up, emotion is a taboo in our culture. So it was not fully a space for me to explore. And that contributed to how I felt and perceive what my disease is. So throughout the years of battling and in denial of my disease, I finally surrendered on 2017, where I've gone through a radiation therapy. And it was a spiritual bottom, if I would put it that way, where I just said, it's really a space and time for me to address what I have been avoiding for so long. And that is me, my emotions, what I've gone through, and what I was in denial with, which is trauma, emotional repression, and things that I thought was normal, but it's actually not. So I've gone through radiation therapy and I approach my healing through a very unconventional way. I approach it as holistic in a nursing way, where I started with physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. So I had this plan, a 5-year plan in my journey, where I'm going to approach the first year after radiation therapy as a physical goal of me to regain my strength. So that year was reconnecting and understanding what is my limit and how can I exceed from that or expand from that. And what do I need to explore, or what am I trying to avoid still? So first year was a lot. I can't even lift 5 pounds. It was tough going in the gym because I don't know how. And it was really a trial and error process for me. And my doctor said, you have to be patient. It takes 2 years. So going through a lot of labs every quarter, understanding my body. And the second year was the mental state. I was also in a deep journey of personal development. I could say I am so into it that meditation was the one of the catalyst for me to really understand what my mind is, that I am always avoiding to be still with my thoughts. So distracting, can't be still. Rest is a taboo, like I said. And on the third year, I approached my journey to why am I feeling this way and where are this emotion coming from? So I understood that my mind and my body is interconnected for me to fully understand my emotion. So I went through shadow work, hired shamanic practitioners and life coaches to help me really understand and go deep within and understand a very unconventional way what is my emotion and what are triggers. And that brought me to reclaiming parts of me, went through inner child healing, and of course spiritual essence. That was the time where Reiki found me. I was hosting a podcast interview, and a Reiki master from the Bay, she approached me and wanted to be part of the show, and I want to talk about energy. And at that time I was also getting into the energetics. I was going through a lot of kundalini meditation classes where I was awakening my intuition. I met my spiritual guides a couple of years before I met my Reiki master. And it was really a very profound journey where there was no, oh, this is the right place, but it's more of, this is working for me. Okay, I'm gonna go dive deep into it further. So when my Reiki master found me, she invited me to take the Reiki certification, which was 5 years ago. And that was the start. I went through 4 levels of that certification. And through that process, I didn't know she's also a hypnotherapist. And I have this extreme phobia of clustered holes that I don't know why. And she told me it's actually, there's no known cause and I don't know where is it coming from. And I'm very curious about fears. So she introduced me to hypnotherapy. And hypnotherapy became a huge way for me to bypass my thinking mind, my monkey mind, to the feeling and reprogramming my subconsciousness to see what's possible for me. So I healed that phobia, and I no longer have a reaction to clustered holes, which they call trypophobia. And I have then took so much hypnotherapy session to heal also like scarcity mindset, other subconscious ways of being. And 2 years ago, I manifested a hypnotherapy school in the Bay. It's called HCH. It's in Lafayette, and they actually have this extensive program of hypnotherapy. And so I was really in that intuitive state. Okay, do I go another leap? And I felt called to, because I want to understand my mind. What if, what if we could release those subconscious ways of beliefs? Because all of this are perceptual belief system that I may have been conditioned, that may have been culturally planted to me. And now it physically manifests as a disease. So I took that program, a 300-hour program, trained myself. Oh my gosh, it was a huge quantum leap into my consciousness that fascinated me in so many ways, how we can heal our traumas and our emotions to fully feel aligned and in tune with ourselves. So, hypnotherapy is a great tool for us to empower our subconscious mind. So, Dr. Bruce Lipton have said that our subconscious is a place where all of our core belief system that affects our behavioral ways of being. So, sometimes when we have traumas, which is unprocessed emotion or any energetic state, if I would put it that way, it's usually repressed, usually based on our core belief system, and they're usually placed in our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is the automatic response to any events or crisis or stressors that we unconsciously react into.
See, one thing about meditation, and I'm going to share a story with you so you'll know that you're not alone. My day-to-day life was hectic, because I would say that all the time, hectic. And then I had to change those words, and I had to learn to love myself, and I had to learn to hug myself. I had to put my health first. You see, the physical body is not alone. It's not enough. It's emotional and it's spiritual as well. It's just happened to be linked to a body. So the physical pain and the emotional pain and the spiritual pain that you've been feeling all these years, you now have an outlet. Because if I was to list all the things that I did to make myself crash, I would just overwhelm all of you on the session today about how I crashed one day. You know, I was many, many things to many, many people, not just a mom, a nana, a researcher, a naturopath, a nurse, a spiritual person. I was just so much HBOT specialist and I can ozone specialist. And one day I got in the car and meditation saved my life. I didn't even know how, but I got in the car and I was traveling to go visit my dad who was dying. And I kept saying to myself the whole way driving, why me? I got sisters, I got brothers, I got a mom, I got an aunt. Why do I have to go 30 to 40 miles to do this? And then I heard a voice, and that voice says, because it's not you. It's the person that you're going to see needs you. And even though I kept telling myself how hectic and overwhelmed I was and how traumatized I was and how everybody was using me and beating me up with just dragging me all different places, this is how meditation saved me, because it allowed me to release all of that, to understand that it's a feeling. Okay, no matter how traumatized the trauma that happened to you and the drugs you were taking, you were doing all of that based on a feeling. And meditation allows you to let that feeling go because that feeling's not true. It doesn't have to be who you are right now or today. So it allows you to release that. And you know, meditation saves lives. It decreases stress. It helps you with sleep. It increases awareness. It helps you control pain. I mean, I can go on and on. It helps you to think about things that you thought you had a memory loss. I was the kind of person that would throw all my trauma and pain underneath the carpet. And then one day I had a breath work, which is similar to meditation. And that stuff came from underneath the carpet. And man, it almost killed me because I said to myself, whoa, I was hiding all this. I was stuffing it underneath the carpet so that I wouldn't feel the pain. And so the meditation allows you to have an outlet to feel hug and understand that it changes the way your chemistry feels inside. It changes chemistry. And I heard her say she did Reiki. You know, I did all of that. I had to do all of that because I was like 1,000 people in one body, and it literally almost killed me.
You know, healing is something. It's how you grab onto the healing. It's how you let go of the pain. So healing can become positive as well as healing can be negative. It depends on how you make the story out of it, how you gravitate to it, how you hold on to it, how you love on it. Because healing, we think sometimes is healthy for us, and sometimes healing depends on what we latching on to can be bad for us. So as you go through your process, like Dr. Roni was saying, just keep trusting and praying and asking God to give you the desires of your heart in your healing. You know, read those motivational affirmations that's going to get in your inner peace, in your inner spirit, and allow you to marinate on those things. You see, because the enemy is always ready to come kill, steal, and destroy. He's right to get in your mind, because he said it like an idle mind. When you're just sitting there thinking and just allowing the mind to be free. And that's why I love riding to work. When I ride to work, God moved me from out of the distractions into the mountains of healing. That's my job. I ride to work. I'm out of distraction. And as I ride out of distraction, I ride into peace. And I can actually feel deliverance every time I go to work. And so by the time I get to work, not only have I let go of the things that may have thought it where I thought was, was okay. God said, that's not of me. So Dr. Roni spoke very much on same thing, just it's a beautiful testimony. It's a beautiful process, but allow the flesh, the spirit to lead, because the flesh is always trying to take us on a direction that we shouldn't be going. But your spirit is like, hey, I'm here. And the flesh be like, man, get out the way. I got this. You know what I'm saying? The flesh be like, look, come on over here, walk over here with me. Good and well, you ain't got no business over there. But the flesh will lead you to the path, of nonsense and foolishness, but your spirit be like, I got you. I will lead you in the path of righteousness. Your flesh can be still there, but your spirit is the freedom that you're looking for. So whatever you was tasting, now you can taste life. You no longer taste death, you tasting life.
Yes.
But once you get a taste of that life, you like, look, no weapons formed against me shall prosper. You might as well back on up. I'm gonna put you under the bottom of my feet and stomp you. Because he can't control it, can't come into your headspace like that.
I deeply resonate, Dr. Roni. I was also a distractive person, and I wanted to bring Dr. Gabor Mate, what he has said about our addiction. We all have our different kinds of addiction. And he mentioned it's actually a response to trauma. It's not bad, but it is a coping mechanism. It's our body's way of filling the void within us. Like how Dr. Roni has said, she's done a lot of things to really find ways. And I think it's the connection, that's the word. It's the connection with our body, and our body keeps score, and the language of our bodies are emotions. And I think when you have that, even you feel that, you honor that it's not bad or good, it's just a signal that you are not tuning in to what have Dr. Romunda said, the spirit inside you, which is love, right? The love that you can give within. Then yes, it's telling you that, hey, come back to me, come back home to your authentic self there.
And don't hold on to it, because it does, because it wears you down. It makes you sick. That's why you think diseases are so high in certain areas, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, because as a woman, we carry a lot of in our aura. And so when you're looking at the emotions of the grieving of heaviness, breast cancer is one of the #1 top things. Because why? Because the heart sit right there. Our heart, we mothers, we nourishers, we nutrient, we survivors, we caretakers, we carriers of the world. We produce the universe. So look at what's the biggest in our cervical area, why we deal with so much trauma in those areas, you see. And so when you understand how, be careful how you hold on to it.
Yes.
Depends on what organ is the weakest, is when it attach and mold itself to it. That's what we call the immune invaders, that they'll sit there and identify to your weakness and mold it. So when your immune system try to fight, it end up knocking everything out of the socket because it can't distinguish the difference. You see, so
yeah, that's so true. And we bring into the energetics, the energy center too, as well, to add on to what Dr. Romunda said. It's our root chakra is the center for stability, a center for, the basic needs of our lives. And if it's imbalanced, or we hold on to this emotion, repression of emotion, unprocessed trauma, we store it in our body, and it physically manifests into disease, which is dis-ease, right? You're not at ease. And according to Dr. Gabor Mate said is on autoimmune disease patient that he've had, I really love his research, especially his book, The Myth of Normal. He said this, that autoimmune disease patients, their main root cause is actually the suppression of saying no. So like me, I was a people pleaser growing up, have a hard time saying no, an overgiver, give and give to the point that I'm draining, overachieving, overworking, trying to prove my worth, not good enough, and all that stuff that led me to block my sense of worthiness, to saying no, and even speaking my truth, expressing myself. I constantly repressed my trauma in my body. So theoretically, that was a physical manifestation of my repression of emotion, became a Graves' disease, a thyroid disease. I was sitting down and my blood pressure is 200/60. It was intense. Yeah, it was a point where my doctor said, if you don't have bed rest for the next 6 months, you're leading yourself to stroke. So I had to stop life in 6 months of doing nothing. For someone who's constantly going and doing, it was a lot of release. So yeah.
This has been Real Talk, where we speak to spark change. Thank you very much for joining us.